These are my Ansible controller machine and the host. Let's connect to them. Today we will deploy Docker containers with Ansible. Okay, we'll create an interesting playbook today. Let's connect to the controller machine. Just to check everything is in place. Ansible -m ping web servers. But this web servers is defined in the inventory file, so pass the inventory. Ansible inventory. Right? So it's connected. Let's also connect to the target. Actually, like I already said, we don't know anything on the target, but to check our configurations, to test our configurations, okay, we were just logging into it. Okay, so now this is a target. On this target, I want to run Docker. So Docker is not there, right? So we have to install Docker and deploy the Docker containers. So for this, let's start writing a playbook. Okay, I'm going to start a playbook called deploy.yml. You may also write a role. Okay, if you want, you can also write a role straight away for the same, or else later on you can convert this into a role after testing it. Anything is fine. So, but working with role is better than writing an individual playbook this way. So web servers and then become true. These are mandatory parameters. Of course, if you want to escalate the privileges, become user. I want to run as a root user. And then comes the vars. Or else first tasks, right? Later, depending on it, we'll decide the vars. So first we need to install Docker, right? So name of the task is install Docker. Then yum is the module, name is Docker, state equal to started. Sorry, state equal to present. Docker should be installed first. So it's present. And then once it is installed, we want to start Docker, right? So start Docker. Which module do we use here? For any packages or any services to handle them, service, name of the service is Docker, state equal to started, right? And then install. Once Docker is installed, we can run Docker images, right? One thing is, let's say I want to do Docker. Okay, just a test run. So I can have to run a command called Docker run. You can use command module for that and run any command there. Command module will help you run the commands. Right? This way I can do. But command module doesn't maintain the state. Means let's say, okay, container is deployed now. But if you rerun, another container will be started and so on. Let me show you. Let me do with the port forwarding, free port forwarding. Is this much clear for all? Yeah. So it will just do Docker run. Is this playbook clear? Can I run this? Okay, I'm saving this. Ansible playbook -i Ansible inventory playbook name deploy.yml. So Docker should be installed. No host matching web servers. No host matching web servers. Web servers. Oh, typo. See, an extra W. Okay. Now See, installing Docker. Earlier Docker is not there here. Now still it's installing. Let's wait. Docker should be installed. Docker should be started. It should pull some image like Nginx and it should run by port forwarding it. Yeah, it changed means it is installed. Yeah, do you see that? And then started Docker might be running means you should be able to run Docker commands. Yeah, I'm running as EC2, so sudo. Yes, images were there, but still test run happened. Now it should be there. Yeah, see. Also container might have been started and running. See, it's running on 32768. Simple, right? Very simple. Let me rerun this playbook. Okay, see, this changed. Why? Because it's already there. Why it should do again? It did again. And see, another container. If you run again, another container and so on. But let's suppose this is my ad book application. I don't want to do this always. If container is there, it should say okay and it should continue, but it should not redeploy. This will happen with command module because command module doesn't maintain state of Docker, right? So this is not the best practice to deploy Docker containers. In reality, we don't deploy this way. It doesn't maintain the state. Command modules doesn't maintain the state. So what we'll do, there are Docker modules specifically designed to deploy Docker, like Docker test run. There are Docker modules which I will use rather than using command modules. What are those Docker modules? Ansible module list, all modules. Here, search for Docker modules. Yeah, see, these are the Docker modules. Docker network module, Docker login module, Docker stack, Docker volume, Docker image. Right, now I want to use this Docker login. First, I need to log in, right, to pull a private image. Or else, let's say, Docker image, Docker container module. Docker container module, which can help start a container. See, Docker container module. These are all the parameter it takes. Okay. Examples of playbooks were there at the bottom. Yeah, see, busy box, image name. If you put, yeah, it will be starting it. How to restart a container, how to create a container. So many examples were there. Okay, I want to use this. Okay, this is a Docker module. If you want to use this, there is some dependency. This Docker module uses, see here, something like Python SDK, Docker Python SDK should be installed. Means there are Docker Python modules which you need to install if you want to use this Docker. Okay, let me add those. Those are the prerequisites. So if you want to use this Docker container module, okay, that's the Docker container module. And then name of the container, let's say I'll give Nginx test container. Okay, and then some image name is Nginx. Okay, so if you want to do port forwarding, you can do that with another parameter called published ports. I want to publish onto 80 of the container. You can do this. How do you know all of this? There's documentation. Published ports. Just scroll up. Scroll down. Yeah, publish all ports or published ports, whichever you want. See here examples. All right, that's what I did. Okay, so this should deploy Docker container and it will not redo if you do this way. Okay, this is what you can do. But to use this Docker modules, you need to have some Docker Python modules to be installed. It's nothing to do with Docker. Those are Docker Python modules. So let us install them. Install Docker Python modules. Okay. And then, yeah, how do you install? This is actually Python module. Okay, you can install it with pip package manager, Python package manager. Name is Docker, state equal to present. And you can use, pip is the module name. Okay, executable you have to use to install this is pip3. Okay, using pip3, you can install it. And we were doing this on CentOS or Red Hat based system, and this particular operating system needs some other packages for this, dependency packages. Okay, you have nothing to do with them, just the dependence packages as such should be there. Some URL library, okay, because of this version of the OS we are using. So this is what you can do. So that you will apply. Meanwhile, what I'll do, I'll remove all these Docker containers. Sudo docker rm -f force removing them. Okay. So no containers. Now let us run this playbook. Okay, just to test, Docker container module is working. Right. Let me save this and let us apply. Unable to find pip3. Pip needs to be installed. But pip is there. Also, one more thing is here for Docker M module and all, Python interpreter 2 will be used. Okay, but for these new modules to work, you need to use Python 3 as an Ansible interpreter. Default interpreter is Python 2. So here I would set a variable vars Ansible Python interpreter. Okay, USR bin Python 3, right? So I'm setting the interpreter as Python 3 because for this new Docker modules to work, you need Python 3 as an interpreter. So that's what I have done here, and hopefully it should work now. Let me add it, save it, and let's reapply. Still unable to find pip3 to use. Pip needs to be installed. Unable to find pip3. It should find pip3 here. I have written executable as pip3. So maybe let me change it as something else, some other error. Downloading Docker, using pip, collecting packages. Mm. I already installed Docker with already Docker installed, right? Let me try one thing. I'll just try it on a new host. Okay, new target machine. Let's say this is host 2. Ansible Linux 2. It's going to have Ansible key. On host 2, private IP. Add it in the inventory. What is our inventory file? Ansible inventory. Right, it is also using the same key, so that should be fine. Now let us start. Okay, host 2 is running. Now let me run the playbook. See, I'm having two hosts now. You will also see how it deploys on two hosts. See, for the first time, it will ask for confirmation. It just said okay. Confirm with yes. Yeah. So first server is already done. So it's saying okay. Second server, it should install Docker. Docker. See, second server. Do you see two servers? First one and the second one. First one and the second one. Here it failed on both the machines. 190 it failed, 178 it failed. Pip needs to be installed, it was saying. Pip needs to be installed. On the second server. On the first server, this is the different error. Uh, mm, Let me not write the executable name. See, on second server, it got installed. Do you see that? On the new server, it got installed. Let me check. On this new server, let's connect to this new server. This is the second host, new host. So Docker is installed. Container should have been started. Docker images. See, this is happening through Docker container module, not the default one. Do you see that? Right. I'll rerun. The difference is if you rerun this, it should not restart another container. Let me reapply. Right? It all worked. See, it's just said okay. Here, test run is saying okay, but it's not redoing the things. See, do you see the difference between command module and this one? All of you, clear difference between the command module and the Docker modules. So Docker modules maintain the state. Command module doesn't maintain the state. Command module should be a last option, right? So on the new host, it was deployed Docker container already there. So it will not redo. So which is working fine, which is good. Now this is the file, right? We were deploying just a test container. Let us deploy. I want to deploy our address book. If I want to deploy address book image, I need to do Docker login, right? Isn't it? I want to deploy private image. So I will add another module. These are all Docker modules, right? So the module name itself is Docker login. Okay. Here it will take a parameter called registry URL. Of course, it's Docker Hub by default, but if you want, you can make sure by adding that URL as index.docker.io/v1 means it's a Docker Hub. Okay, and then the password. You have to provide the password, right? How do you get the username from the image? When you write the image name, it will get the username. But how to get the password? I will take a variable here. Docker registry password. Right? I'll define the variable value. And then I would like to add another task, deploy add book. Here again, I'm using Docker container module. Right? Docker container module, which will take the image, some container name as add book. Okay. And then image. Image name is DevOps trainer, Java, Maven, private repos. I would like to give the tag as add book. Okay. Or else I think there is a PHP image available in this repo. Let me check the repo once. What is there? I just want to deploy this address book or PHP, anything is fine. Okay, I have some address book images. Let's say this version 3 I want to deploy. Okay, version 3. And then again published ports. Okay, as it is address book, it's 8080 and then 8080. Right? Now it should do Docker login and it should run this container. But how do you send the password? Right? Password, I will just go here and put I want to give it as a prompt. We have seen 3 types of variables yesterday, right? Using -c flag, using the defining the variables here. Another one is in a separate file. Rather than all of this, because password is credential, I want to send it through the user prompt. So that's where var's prompt comes in. Name is this one. Oh, right? Name is this. And then prompt. This is the prompt it should give. Enter the Docker password. Right? So it should ask for the prompt, wait for our input. Okay? Right? So let's save this. Right? Let us apply it now. It should do Docker login. Actually, if you go to the server and say Docker login, right? It's asking for credentials, but it will be done by Ansible. Let us run the playbook. See, enter the Docker password. Done. So second server, 2. Okay, is showing for 2. Third server, right? Because it failed here, it's not executing on the other server, but here it happened. Docker login failed. State is present, but all of the missing username. Username should be present in the. Oh, sorry. Username should be there. One minute. Here I missed username. Even though it's present in the image, here itself first to log in, it should have username. So let me add it. Username is right. Now let us rerun. The Docker login happened. So if you check here now, earlier it is asking for credentials. It says already there. No, it was not saying. 1 minute. It's doing with sudo, I think. Yeah. Okay, we were using a root user, right? So it got succeeded. And then, yeah, it says it's fine. Now let's see. Sudo docker images. See, it has pulled the image with a 3 and you should see this. Right, container started on 8080. So on this host machine, host 2, on port 8080, add that port in the security rules. In the security rule, add 8080. Now, if you hit this on port 8080, you should see the address. Right? So Docker container deployed via Ansible. Interesting, isn't it? Here is the link. You all can also see that. Got it clear, everyone? Any questions in the playbook from anyone? This is your playbook, which is deploying on multiple servers. So yeah, it's done. This is how you can deploy, and we can integrate it in the pipeline. But before integrating it in the pipeline, I would like to do one more thing here. We were using static inventory, isn't it? Static inventory means we are hard coding the IP address this way. But what if you have 100 servers? In the real time, new servers might be coming up, old servers may be terminated. So we need to have some dynamic inventory, right? So you can create a dynamic inventory file as, let's say, inventory. Your file name should be prefixed with AWS history because I want to get the dynamic inventory from AWS, and it uses a plugin called AWS EC2. So the plugin, the file name should be prefixed with the plugin name. Okay. And here comes the plugin. You have to mention the plugin, which is AWS underscore EC2. And in which region you want to fetch the data. I want to fetch the data in. You can add multiple regions. Let's say I have for now AP South. AP South one is the region. Okay, and then you have to put here access key and secret key. But placing access key, secret key here is not good practice, right? What I'll do is I'll do AWS configure on the server. That's all. Use your inventory. What else you can do? This is the new inventory file which you will be using. And yeah, and this inventory will be using some libraries like pip modules and libraries like Boto3 and Botocore. But before we use it, let me do one more thing. Here, yeah, it should identify these hosts, right? So first, let's do AWS configure. Okay, access key and secret key. Let's enter them. Okay, so I did AWS configure as well. And first you can test the inventory. How do you test the inventory? There is a command called Ansible inventory -I pass your inventory file. Okay, and list. That will list the target servers. And what it is saying, it's not listing anything. Rather, it's saying fail to parse this. The EC2 dynamic requires Boto3 Botocore. Do you see that? Boto3 Botocore are again some Python dependencies. Okay, let us install them. Pip3 install Boto3. Botocore will be installed by default. Okay, now let us try. Still what's the problem? Failed to describe instances, auth failure when calling describe instances. AWS was not able to validate. Okay, it's not validating those credentials. Let me check the credentials. Go here. Security credentials. See here, access key, secret key were not there if you see, right? So let us create them. That's why it was failing. The ones I'm using were no more being used. So download this. Now let's go here to the downloads. This is the one. So let us use this. AWS configure. Okay. And a new secret key. If you want, you can use the region here. Now let's run the inventory. Yes. Do you see that? It was listing all the information, so much of information it was listing for all the instances. And at the bottom, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 instances. 3 were public DNS, these were private. Why all of that and some are public and some are private it is displaying? What it is doing is it is displaying all the 6 instances. It was grepping all of them, right? Whichever are running, it was showing public DNS. If they are running, they'll have public DNS, right? Otherwise, they'll not have public DNS. Let me show you. See, this has got public DNS because it's running. Suppose I'll choose some stopped one. See, it doesn't have public DNS, so private DNS it was showing. Okay. But now what I want is, I want only these targets, right? I don't want anything else. So how do you filter them? If you remember for Ansible targets, I'm using this key. So you can pass some filters and grep only those instances. So in the inventory file, you can configure that. Inventory. So here in the inventory file, we can add some filters. Right? Filters like key name, Ansible key. Okay, you can add multiple filters, but I also want to have the instance running. So instance state name is running. So that your instances, only running instances with this key will only be identified. So that you will get only your target. Yeah, perfect. It's with 142, 170. This is first one is 117. This one. Okay. And the host one is 142. Perfect. Right? So your inventory is now identifying correctly. So what can you do here? How do you use this inventory? In your playbook also, here like you are using web servers as a host. But now I want dynamic inventory, right? So in that case, here use that plugin name. AWS underscore EC2. That's all, right? Now it will use the dynamic inventory. So as of now, when you list, it was showing to, if you want to see them like a brief ones, if you want to see, you can also add graph. Only those two list will be shown. Right now you can run the playbook, of course, because already those two were added statically, manually we added, it will work the same. But I'll also show you adding few dynamic inventory. Let me do one thing. I'll just create an instance. Okay. I'll not add that in the static inventory file, but still it should be identified. Let me add a new EC2 instance. Let's say this is dynamic host, means I'll not add this manually in the inventory file, but it should be identified. Okay. Key is Ansible key. That's where it was identifying it. Okay, this is the one. This is the IP. I'm not adding this IP anywhere. Okay, let it start running. Because that's one more flag it was checking, right? Yeah. Now it should identify dynamically. Any servers may be added up. Oh, 3 should be there. Yeah. Do you see that? The third one, the new one is this one. Also, now I'll run the playbook. It should install everything on the third server also. Provide the password through the command prompt. Oh, see, you should pass the inventory. I'm passing old inventory. Do you see that? This is old inventory. You should pass the dynamic inventory. Confirm for the new server. 3 servers it should execute one after the other. I did yes, right? I think still it was waiting for the input. Okay. Only 2 servers it's happening. The new server IP is 1 minute. New server IP is 87 or 186. Where is that 87? Let me run again. Inventory file, I'm passing new inventory file. Yes. Now 87 is working. Oh, I think I should give SH time. Yeah. Not each time, but first time it's waiting for it. See, now that's a third server. 87 is a third server, yellow one. Docker login happened. It will deploy this container. Because I have given so many times. Let me check test the configurations. It is done. Execution is done. Let me log into this new host, dynamic Docker host, because I did not add this IP manually in the inventory. The key is Ansible key. Now if you see sudo docker images, right? So sudo docker ds -f, right? Everything is perfect. On 88 it was done. Clear everyone, understood Docker deployments and the dynamic inventory. Any questions here? Okay. Let us just now run this through the pipeline. Okay, let us put it in the CI/CD pipeline. Yeah. Let's put this in the CI/CD. Yeah, here I have the pipeline already, but we'll revisit that completely. Okay. This is the Git repository. Branch. Git checkout. New CI/CD Ansible. Okay, this is the branch where we have all the Ansible code available. See, just created like Terraform. If you remember Terraform code we have created. Similarly, Ansible folder. And first thing I want to show you the inventory like we created there. Put all the files here. Docker deployment file. Okay, Docker deployment file. Okay, but without user prompt because we don't run it in interactive mode, but still using the password here. Okay, this is the playbook. And then installing Boto 3, access key ID, secret key ID, passing through the positional parameters, testing the inventory, and passing the Docker password and the image name as extra parameters. Because see, it's not always the same image we deploy, right? Whichever we built in the pipeline, that should be deployed. So two variables, we are passing them through positional parameters here, right? So that is being called from Jenkins. And also Terraform is creating our server. That particular server is being used as an Ansible target machine. This stage we have already seen in Terraform. But now the instance which Terraform is created is being used as a target machine. Let me explain you in the diagram. See, initially we are using Terraform here. Okay. Terraform will create an instance, right? This is going to be the target, Ansible target. On that machine, we have to deploy something. You have to deploy or you have to deploy Docker containers. Means you have to run the playbook. That's the next stage is Ansible run playbook. Means Ansible playbook is executed. On which machine do you run the playbook? On the controller machine or on the host? On the controller machine, we run the playbook, right? So that configurations will be applied on the host. So that is what I'm doing here. See, Ansible controller machine's IP address. Okay, we were getting into that machine and running the playbook. And on this machine, the key file, SH key file of all of the target should be there. That's what. This is creating that key file and storing it in IDRSL. Then going into that machine and calling the script. That's what we are doing. And passing 4 parameters, access key, secret access key, password, image name. All of that were being passed. See, access key as first parameter, second parameter, and other two as extra arguments here as position parameter 3 and 4. Right? This is going to be a bit advanced script, but yes, we can test it out. And here, yeah, these IPs, we need to have a dev server, right? Controller machines IP, all of that will configure. Let us do that. Create one dev server and the Ansible controller machine. Let's go here. Dev server, I already have some dev server. Let me start this. Let us start the dev server. Meanwhile, Ansible controller machines IP. Ansible controller machines IP. Okay, and the dev server. Dev server site. Okay, so if you just scroll down, here the key we are having is AWS. Means you should match them with your Jenkins server, right? Whatever credentials there. So let me start our Jenkins server as well. Let's start this. This is where our Jenkins is running. Yeah, this is our Jenkins server. Let's connect to it. It is AWS. Yes. So try to exit from here. Here we have updated those credentials. We should make sure all the credentials available here as well. Like one is the keys, dev server IP, Docker Hub credentials should be there, AWS key should be there. This also AWS key. The key name I have given as AWS key in the Jenkins. Docker Hub should be there. So check it out in the credential store. Sorry, not tools. Credentials. Yes, see, I have AWS hyphen key and Docker hyphen hub. Oh, dev server packaging also there. Anyway, I'm using this as Ansible key. This also Ansible key. Okay. And Docker hub is there. What else? Anything else are we missing? Access key IDs should be there. Is it there? It's there, but we created new ones, right? So let me edit this, update this, change the password. So let me get the new one. Access key. Similarly, secret access key. Change it. Okay, so those credentials were updated. Easy to use our Docker Hub, AWS key, that's fine. Seems good. See, this was also stored as a credential, Docker registry password. See here, right? We were passing this, so let's also store it. Add credentials, only password means secret text. Only password we were storing. So even that is also available. So whatever defined here were all available. Let us check out this as well. This key with the credential ID, Ansible target key should be there. Right, Ansible's key should be present. So that is also missing. Let me add it. Secret text username with private key. Right? Is that correct? And credentials ID. Okay. So the user is EC2 user. Enter the private key directly. Okay. Get the key. This key will be converted into a temporary key and will be stored on the target machine. So I believe all of them are available now. Okay, if any connections required, we shall look into it. But as far as now, it's good. Now let me commit this. Git commit -a-m stages modified. Also, let me check the Terraform code as well once to make sure everything is in place, particularly web server. We are adding some 8080. So here, where are we publishing it? Is it on 8080 only? Yes. Okay, so then it should be fine. So now everything is automated. It should create an instance, right? On that instance, it should deploy via Ansible. So git push horizon new CI/CD Ansible. Let's create a pipeline on Jenkins. New pipeline. DevOps with Ansible, Terraform, everything included. The complete pipeline integrating all the tools from the beginning. Pipeline script from SCM, the repository URL, get the repository URL from GitHub. And the branch name is new CI/CD. And any corrections comes up, we shall do it. Okay. Let us see. By the way, one more thing. Did we use anywhere labels? Because we did not start any of them. Like agent any, agent any, agent any. Good. Okay. Agent any means initially they were executing on the master. Then Terraform should create an instance and so on. Let's see. So it's creating image, it's pushing to hub as well number one. Then the same image will be deployed on using Ansible. See, it went to Terraform stage now. Terraform will create an instance which will be used as an Ansible target machine. It has done initialize, it was doing approve. See, instance is created, still in creation state. That's a dynamic inventory, right? So as per the dynamic inventory, whatever instance Terraform is creating will be identified by Ansible, because in the Terraform code, I have given the key name as Ansible key. That is important to get it identified. Let me check if I have updated correctly or not. Main.tf. Yes, see Ansible key. So that will be identified through Ansible dynamic inventory. On that machine, it should deploy. See output instance created means here you can see 7th instance. See 7th instance created, which is this one. This should be identified by Ansible because it has got this Ansible key, right? So on that machine, Ansible should deploy Docker containers. See, somewhere it failed after creating inventory on this machine. List of hosts, or where did it fail? IDRSA. Oh, because IDRSA file is already there on controller machine. Let's clean up. Okay, this is the controller machine. Because see, it's copying IDRSA of the new machine, right? New targets. So it shouldn't have any keys as such. RM ID RSA. Okay, now let's rerun. Because we are automating that part also here. See, last one failed. Terraform has created instance, last one failed. So let us re-execute. See, it has identified this fifth one, fourth one, 23. This is the new one. Let me show you. The instance created by Terraform. This is the one, 23. Okay, it has identified it and it will apply. See, all the three servers it was applying one after the other. 142, 117, 87, on 23 also it should apply. Yes, on 23 change. All of them are okay because all of them were already configured. This one is the change one. Then see here, install Python modules, install the dependent modules, Docker login happened, right? Docker run is happening. Run the Docker image. Finally, Docker image will be deployed, right? See, on 23, everything was successful on 23. So 8080 is added as a security rule already by Terraform. So we can just directly hit this machine on 8080. 8080 address book. Right? Perfect. Do you see that? This is the end-to-end pipeline. End-to-end pipeline integrating Ansible, Terraform, Docker, everything. Right? This is a complete end-to-end pipeline, integrating all the tools, compiling, testing, then building a Docker image, packaging the code, then using Terraform. Means here Docker is used. So here Terraform is creating dynamic inventory. On that particular instances, Ansible is deploying the playbook. Right? So Docker is involved here, Terraform, Ansible, of course, Jenkins, and so on. Complete end-to-end CI/CD pipeline. Any questions from anyone? We have integrated Docker, Terraform, Ansible. We can also, like we were running Docker we were deploying Docker. You can also deploy Docker compose file through Ansible. Means this is Docker, Ansible, Terraform, CI/CD, right? We can also integrate Docker compose here, like Docker compose, Ansible, Terraform, right? So we shall do that in the next session tomorrow. A pipeline, same CI/CD pipeline with a Docker compose, like deploying PHPDB. We have deployed address book. Let us deploy our second application also, second project we were doing in the course, which is PHP. Tomorrow we shall deploy PHPDB app with a Docker compose. Any questions here? Like discussed, we'll have a session this week, like a Saturday. Okay, I'll share the link 5 minutes before the session. We'll have a 1 hour session tomorrow where we'll see this Docker Compose deploy with Ansible. Please make a note of your availability. Any more questions? In the code, you can go through it for another minute and let me know if you have any questions. Step by step, we came to this stage. We did not write all of them in one go, right? So if you have completed hands-on stage wise, it should be simple for you. Or else do the hands-on one more time, go through the recordings. You should be all set. So that is all from my end for today. Thank you all. See you on tomorrow. Bye everyone. If you have any questions, I can stay back.
No, thank you.
Thank you all. Bye everyone.